Hello, hello, hello. I hope everyone's doing well. Finding lighting at this time of day, 3 p.m. Pacific, it's so dark here already. And then I'm trying to have like good lighting. So I thought I'd try the overhead lighting today. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I'm not sure if I like it or not. I think it definitely could be worse, but Um, I am enjoying doing the afternoon sessions more. I think that it's easier to kind of take that time and downshift from your day. So it's been working out better for my schedule on a Wednesday afternoon. But if there is a time that you feel like is better that I can accommodate, I can't always accommodate. Please let me know because I want to make sure that if you want to catch it live, you don't feel like you're always missing it. So if there's a time that you feel like makes more sense that would work for me reliably, I generally, Monday through Wednesday, are better days for me. I'm pretty booked up. There's Thursday through Sunday. So, uh, anyway, I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had some time to decompress a little. I know that I was really, really busy over Thanksgiving weekend working because a lot of people were home and ready to talk and ready to think about some things that they had maybe been too busy to push to the forefront until they really had time to sit down and think about it. So I feel like I wasn't rested, but that's okay because anytime that is going to work out better for people to really take these reflections, I much prefer. Anyways, so hi, I'm Caroline. I'm really glad you made time to be here today. If you're just easing back into dating after heartbreak, or you've been on the apps and everything just feels really draining, this session is focused on helping you understand how to find, real emotional momentum again without forcing things you're not ready for. So, if you're new here, I'm a former white glove matchmaker and now certified NLP and life coach. And I've worked with hundreds of people who were burnt out, discouraged, or just stuck in like really confusing patterns, especially after a breakup or change in their relationship status. My specialty is helping you rebuild clarity, emotional stability, and confidence so you can move forward in a relationship that fits or toward a life that feels full, even if it's solo, right? Um, One thing my clients tell me consistently is that working with me gives them a permanent toolkit, right? This isn't about quick tips or fluffy motivation. And if you've actually sat through any of my sessions, you would see that. And they stay on here for about 30 days. And then I transition them to other areas where they can live forever, like YouTube. But the goal is to give you a real foundation that you can use for the rest of your life, right? So when they circle back and say, I was struggling with this other thing with work or with a friendship or familiar relationship, and they went back to the toolkit that we built together and it helped them through that. When they face discouragement, pressure, loneliness, or old patterns that pull them off track, they can go back to this toolkit that we built. So I don't coach people forever. This is limited time, right? So my job is to help people get unstuck. So it's to give you the clarity you may have been missing and help you move forward with direction and a calmer nervous system. And after that, you have what you need, right, to deal with these things. And then if you check back in with me again later, that's great. I have one of my programs has that built in, right? That we have a check in later if you want it, right? And if you never need me again, That's great too. So, as we go through this session today, I want you to engage in the chat. So, even if you are watching the replay, responding helps your brain integrate messages, and it helps me understand what you want to dive deeper into. So, before we start, I want you to share a word in the comments for how you're feeling right now. And I want to make sure you feel seen as we go through this. Tired is a common one. I am tired too. And I don't know if I don't know what to point it to. What are the things that I can point this to? But I feel like everyone I talk to, when I ask them how they are, the first thing they say is tired. Um, and it's very hard to think about taking on new things when you're tired. The other day, I realized I had not, like, I had noticed there were dishes, but I had done nothing about them. It wasn't really occurring to me to do anything about them. And I realized, like, I was so tired, I couldn't even just take 5 minutes and take care of it. It just wasn't, my brain wasn't going there. My brain was so overwhelmed with tired that it couldn't grab other things. Um, so I feel that. I really feel that. So today's topic is about discouragement, right? Which is sort of the way I kind of identify the spot that I help people with, which is that feeling, right? That feeling of being discouraged. And usually it happens because you're sort of trying the same thing over and over and you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting closer to the thing you want. You're not getting closer to your goals. You're not being understood. Whatever it is, it's making you feel like trying maybe isn't even worth it. I also call it burnout, right? I call it dating burnout. I call it um, just that general feeling that you want to give up on something that you really really want, and that is what I'm so passionate about, is you having something you really really want and not giving up on it, and learning how to manage the ebbs and flows within your motivation to get there. So I first want to talk about what discouragement is. Okay, so when you're discouraged, like, it doesn't mean that you're failing, right? You just failed over and over, and you know you're just not good enough, or you're never going to get it. It just actually means that your emotional system is overwhelmed, you know? And discouragement is what happens when, like, your nervous system's been running on fear or uncertainty or unpredictability for just too long. Sometimes we don't really notice that. We just say, I feel tired. We just say, I feel confused. I'm unfocused. We point it at a lot of different things, and a lot of times towards our ability to be productive. And I just want to remind you that your job as a person is not productivity. It's not. So you're allowed to just be a person, and you don't have to take like everything that's taking you away from productivity and shove it down and then reframe it in the lens of how productive are you. Like, I'm saying, oh, I'm tired, but the way I notice it is because I don't even want to do the dishes. Like, and it's not that people want to do the dishes, but normally I look at them and I just go, I'm going to do them. Like, even I look at how I'm feeling in the lens of what am I able to do. Um, Discouragement is also a sign that you've been trying to figure everything out alone, right? It's more common for it to become something that's really dragging you down when you don't feel like the people around you understand. You maybe don't feel like there are people around you, um, and that they're not where you are, and you can't communicate freely and openly with them, and or they're very much not objective to you, right? It also is a sign that you keep hoping something will shift, but you do not have a clear process to follow in order to get there. And also, your heart has been disappointed more often than it has been nourished, right? That's why, I'm always annoying people with the self care, self love talk. That is why. Because have you ever heard about how people will, like, not, like, they'll remember only like a something good someone says about them, um, for every like 3 to 5 times they hear a bad thing about themselves, like our brains are just wired to connect to criticism or pain or to remember those things more than remembering good things. That's why when people tell me good things, I keep them in a notes app. So if I feel really down, I can go read them and go like, yeah, you know what? That is something somebody said about me and that felt really good. And because I'll forget it, but if somebody says one thing to me, even if it's wrong, and they're making a giant assumption and they're wrong, it sticks with me way more. I know that I had somebody on one of my YouTube videos go off in all caps that I am too young to be giving love advice. And let me, first of all, I should have just been laughing, but it was annoying, right? Because they don't know anything about me, and that's just proof that you don't know anything about me. Um, I've talked a lot about the fact that I have a grown daughter and I was not a young mother. So, wherever you want to put that math, but I have a grown daughter. I was nowhere near a teen mom. That actually, when I had her, I was on the older side of having children. So, just because you might think I don't look old enough to have an adult child or I don't talk like that, that is like my mindset. I've always wanted to know what's going on. I don't ever want to be like, oh, that's a confusing part of the world and I don't want to know. This doesn't have anything to do with me. I will say, like I'm in a group for other people my age. I'm Gen X, right? And they have a very different mindset from me for sure. And I'm not like maybe no, I'm definitely Gen X. And they, every time there is a new label, they like so many people there want to label it as like wokeness or just like another type of pronoun thing, or why can't men just be men and women be women. It's bizarre to me. I do not relate to it at all. I always want to know what's going on because the world is changing and I want to change with it. I don't want to be the boulder in the middle of the river that the water runs past. I want to be the stone that rolls along with the river and changes as it goes. That's how I identify, right? So when somebody says that to me, that I'm too young to be giving advice, I should be laughing, but instead I'm just remembering the way it was like all caps and it was so rude. And I could hear there there were probably a bunch of other really nice comments on that video, but instead I only remember that one, you know? So it's kind of like you leave reviews for a company and there might be a ton of good ones, but only the bad ones get responses from the company. Um, that's kind of the same thing, right? You need your heart to be nourished as more than it's disappointed. And you cannot wait for other people to do that for you. You have to find ways to do it for yourself, right? Um, that is part of your permanent toolkit. So, like discouragement often feels like evidence that, nothing's ever going to get better. And that can create a cycle that feels impossible to break out of on your own. But the truth is that it's evidence of how much you've been carrying without enough support or clarity around it. So I just want you to ask yourself on your own, where in your life do you feel this the most right now? Right? It's rare, and I would say someone's very lucky if they feel well supported in every area of their life. I know I absolutely never have. I've never had everything firing 100% on all cylinders. If it's really good over here, it's not great over here. And that's always been that way. And maybe that's a mindset thing. Maybe it's an expectation thing, and I need to change it. That would be great. But it's kind of like how people say, um, like money can't buy like real happiness or real love. You could look at somebody who's very well off, who's very financially secure. This is something they never have to worry about, but they can't find happiness in another area of their life. Despite all that, certain things are not working out for them. So I want you to think about like where in your life maybe you're feeling this. Is it like dating? Is it healing? Are you feeling behind in something? Do you have other goals in your life you've been working toward where you just kind of feel like unsupported and unclear in what you're going to do next? That's where we want to focus, right? That's what we want to put the energy toward, building that support and that network around it. So, um, there are a lot of hidden signals inside that discouragement. So let's talk about some of those. And it's really easy to miss them. So once you recognize them, it's easier to like start making that shift around it. Um, so the first signal I want to talk about is that when you feel discouragement, one of the things that is actually the message is that you need rest, not more pressure. Okay. So discouragement often shows up when like you've pushed through for too long, pain, struggle, just whatever stress cause. I know I don't even feel some of this because I'm so conditioned to just forge ahead. I don't know if anyone else can relate. I even have trouble accepting successes for long enough, like really basking in something going well, which is really important. You need to take your wins and like really take time to enjoy your wins. I get to that level that I wanted, and all I go is, okay, what's next? I'm like the person who looks at the top of the mountain, thinks they reached it, then the clouds part, and there's still so much mountain in front of me. And I do that to myself, right? I'm like, well, first this, we're gonna focus on this. I get there and I go, okay, what's next? And instead I should be celebrating that thing that I got to, right? If you do this for too long and then some smaller letdown can feel like so much larger because it feels like it topples the pile of what you've been building up, right? So you need to think through like, are you pushing for too long through things? The second signal you're getting from discouragement is that there is a gap between what you say you want and how you're actually living. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong, but it's usually because your system is like overwhelmed. So, as the space between what you want and what you actually do to get it grows, so does your discouragement. The third signal is that you are repeating emotional patterns you cannot see by yourself. We all have blind spots, every single person. And this is where people get stuck for years. This is a really big part of what my program is built around. We all do so many things we don't really know we're doing that are keeping us from the things that are truly the best thing for us. And that's why objective feedback can be really, really important. And the fourth signal I want to talk about today is that discouragement is telling you you are trying to create hope without structure or support. And that's really hard to do. It's almost impossible. And if you've never done that, done something, or had a thing before, how do you know exactly how to get there? You know, it's like that whole, like, you don't take fitness advice from someone who's never exercised, right? You don't get driving lessons from someone who doesn't know how to drive, right? We're all doing new things all the time and growing and changing as the world changes around us. So you need to think about like, you're growing and changing. There's this new thing you want. How are you going to get there? You can't be expected to know how to get there, right? Or to listen to the guidance of other people who haven't been there. That's one of those things that I always think is really funny about, especially love advice, when people don't want to take advice from married people because they think, well, how would you know, you're not out there dating? But it's like they have the thing that you want. So, you know, unless they happen to grow up next door to each other as children and they never ever dated anyone else, like if they dated at all in order to marry, they might be worth taking seriously if they're going to give you advice, right? If you're going to ask them for any advice, we don't dismiss people. Like, they're not born married. You're not born married, right? So, if that's the thing you want, then you need to think about what kind of plan you're going to build around it with the help of somebody who knows how to build that plan. So, let me give you examples of how some of these things play out, right? Um, Chasing people who cannot meet you emotionally, right? So some of these signals, this is what it looks like, right? Overthinking every little message or communication with someone, um, which means you're not being like authentic, right? If you're worried constantly that something you said or something what someone else said and you're trying to read between the lines all the time, then you're not communicating clearly and authentically. Um, or you're thinking, I'm just going to shut down because it feels so much safer than sticking your neck out and trying. Or feeling numb because you've been running on emotional fumes, right? I know I will shut down eventually if I have not been really taking care of myself during stressful times. If any of these things hit you, just like drop a comment. Yeah, it's me. I get it. I've been there. Because it'll help you process it. It's going to help me see where you are. So let's talk now why we're here. How do we rebuild hope? Okay. So hope does not just return because like someone chooses you. Okay. It's not an external thing that is going to change you. Hope returns when you reconnect with yourself. So the first thing is that hope comes with alignment. So most discouragement comes from doing things that do not match your values or your goals, right? So if you've been living in survival mode, you cannot feel hopeful. It is like just a bridge too far. You're like, if everything is focused on your just trying to get through stuff, you cannot reach that next level. It's very, very difficult. So you need to reconnect with what really matters to you. And sometimes it can feel like you have so much going on, like you don't have this luxury, but that is actually an indicator that you have your list of priorities and you need to put yourself higher up on the list to make those changes. You know, we can't show up for other people until we're really showing up for ourselves, right? And it's okay. You know, the old like put on your own oxygen mask first. All right. I know it sounds easy to say. You're like, I have this life. I have to take care of elderly parents. I have to take care of children. I have to take care of whatever. But there are small ways that you can make sure you're putting yourself higher on that priority list without sacrificing the care that you give for others. And in fact, it'll help you care for others more and do better for them, show up better. Okay. Um, the next thing is that hope grows through repetition. You know, when you have just a burst of inspiration, it's not that's not lasting change. You know, change happens when you repeat small actions that pull you out of burnout and discouragement and into clarity. So an example could be like getting out of bed when what you really want to do is hide, or saying no when you tend to overgive to people. You know, making a practice of trying new things, taking one step each day that supports your emotional steadiness. Those are all things you can do, and make them habits. You know, turn them into real routines, because even if it's a small thing, even if it's just going before bed rather than like watching TV or doom scrolling or something like that, I am going to spend 10 minutes writing about how I want the next day to go and how it's going to feel for me. That's it. That's an example of putting yourself up higher on the list, okay? Another thing is that hope begins with truth. You cannot force or fake positivity, right? We're not all customer service agents, you know? You cannot lie to yourself about how you really feel and still move forward in life. Hope really starts with saying, this hurts and I'm still capable of moving forward, right? You have to change your self talk. And instead of reinforcing negative thoughts, you have to focus on what you will do next to change the story. So rather than me walking around saying, I'm so tired, I'm so tired, I feel so scattered, why are there so many chores? I don't want to do any of them. Instead, I say, my habit is that while my coffee is brewing, I make sure the kitchen's clean. I clean up the kitchen, so I make sure it's clean for the day. Like, I just do that. I just do it rather than I'm so tired I can't do this, right? So you have to think about like what's next, right? What is within your control to do next to change the story, even if it's small. But this is another thing where if you are familiar at all with habit stacking, this is where that comes in, right? Like if you're having trouble, I know that sometimes I don't want to do nighttime face care. I just want to brush my teeth and go to bed. But if I'm like, okay, beef after I floss, oh, my face feels kind of dirty after I floss. Like if I water pick, it might spray on my face. Well, I want to wash that off. Okay, well, if I'm going to wash it off, then I'm going to do my whole skincare routine, right? And then I'll brush my teeth. And that's how I'm habit stacking. And the fourth thing I want to talk about here is that hope expands when you stop trying to do everything alone. There is no winning, there is no point of pride in saying, I do everything alone, right? I get how it feels protective because I have hyper independence. And that stems from not feeling like people can be there for me and feeling like I can't trust other people to understand me and then show up for me. I know that I have that and I work on that all the time. I very consciously ask for help and I consciously offer help, right? So that helps me rewire that thought process that I have to do everything alone. Because if I think about it and somebody asks me for help, I will show up. I I want to be there for the people I care about, people who ask for help. I want to show up for them. So it's wrong for me to assume other people don't want to do that for me too, right? No one rewires emotional patterns in isolation. You are not supposed to. You need someone who can see the patterns you cannot see, reflect them back to you, and guide you through them with real tips and strategies. That's how you build steadiness and clarity that lasts. It's with tools you can use forever, right? So I want you to take a moment and answer this question. You do it in the comments or for yourself. What is a small shift you could make this week that would bring even 1% more hope into your life? I know that one of my personal projects has been getting out for a walk every day and getting more regimented in my bedtime, which is kind of a battle I have fought my whole life. If you're a night owl, you understand. Um, but I often walk my dog in the middle of the day. If you follow me on TikTok, you've seen me record TikToks while I'm walking my dog. You've seen my dog. And one of the things is that I need to, even on the days I'm not walking my dog because of my schedule, that doesn't absolve me from the walk, right? Like then it means I need to do the evening walk or join the evening walk with my partner or walk, even just like walk to the grocery store. There are days where I like can forget to go outside, especially, I mean, I live in Seattle. It gets really dark and kind of dismal. You don't want to go out, but um, that is something I've been working on. And just getting out like that does give me more hope. It does make me feel more hopeful. So I want to leave you with this Discouragement is a signal, not a destination, right? It's just a signal to you that something needs to change. It is this moment where your heart is asking for a different kind of support, a different approach, a different way of navigating love and healing and how you reach your goals. It is a message to shift your mind. So, if something in you feels ready for that clarity, just book a free breakthrough session with me. You guys, I promise it is like so easy, right? I will literally get an email and then I will email you back, right? You can pick the time you want right on the website. I will email you back and confirm everything, and you will meet with me. It is really, really simple. You don't have to enter anything, you don't have to commit to anything except to show up at the time that you booked. That's it. And you can even show up not really sure what you want to talk about. That's okay. We will figure out. We'll figure it out. It's not a problem. And if that's the only time you can give me, that's okay. That's okay. I'll do as much as I can in that time. It's private, supportive. It's designed to give you immediate direction. So people often tell me just after that session they feel lighter and clearer, just one conversation. And if you've been thinking about a bigger program right now, I have 15% off through December 15th with code GOALS, and that applies to the Dating Foundations program, which is the program for early or less experienced daters. And that is for like, it's either, you're a younger adult, or if like you just got out of your relationship and that was kind of like you'd been in it for a long time, but you didn't date much, right? And then I also have rapid heartbreak recovery. So that's like you're going through heartbreak and you're like, how fast can I get through this stage? This is awful. I just want to get through this as fast as possible, which like is pretty, that it's a good signal that you have hope still. If you want to get through that, you don't want to sit in it, right? Because sitting in it is no way forward. Or our general one-on-one coaching program. So you can start anytime between now and Valentine's Day, as long as you start by Valentine, as long as you have your first session booked before Valentine's Day. So this could be good a good gift for you or for someone you care about. But this is the perfect amount of time to rebuild your clarity and feel grounded again before spring, like feeling like you really know where your 2026 is going on a personal level, right? So I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. And if this resonated, put a heart in the comments so I know you are taking care of your heart too. Links are in the comments. And if you have other topics you want to talk about, you can message me. A lot of you guys message me about the things you want to hear about. And that is, that's fantastic. I love that. But it's also great if you put it in the group notes because then other people can chime in about it. So thank you again for being here. And I will see you next time on the next session. Bye.